last week, Parshas Mishpatim, the question was, first of all, it's promised in Parshas Mishpatim that Hashem will give to Bnei Yisrael the area of Eretz Yisrael up to Nahar Pros. So really the question is, where else do we find that this is promised to be given as a Yerusha in Eretz Yisrael, called the Nahar HaGadol? So the answer is, in the Bris Bein Abasarim Tesvav Yud Ches, in Parshas Lech Lecha, it says, Ad Hanahar HaGadol Nahar Pros. That's the borders of Eretz Yisrael that was given to Avraham at that time. And also similarly it says in the 7th pasuk of Chumash Devarim. It also says Ad Nahar HaGadol Nahar Pros. And why is it called Nahar HaGadol? Why is Pros called the Great River? The reason is, Rashi says, since it's stuck to Eretz Yisrael, it's bordering Eretz Yisrael, and the Eved Melech Kimelech, the servant of a king is like the king. So just like this that's bordering Eretz Yisrael, it's as if it's part of Eretz Yisrael, and it's like a Gadol. And Rabbeinu Bechai explains this further, and he says, everything in Eretz Yisrael is called Gadol. Bayis HaGadol is also called Beis Mikdash. Kohen HaGadol is the one who does avoid in it. And the one who's shoichein is Shechina, and the Beis Mikdash is Hakel HaGadol. So too, the river that's by it, by Eretz Yisrael, will be called Nahar HaGadol, which is the river of Pros. Okay, so now in Parshas Terumah. So there's a very well-known, everyone heard of it, there's a well-known machlokes. How did the menorah look? Was it rounded, or was it straight? So we know it's Rashi and the Rambam, right? Rashi and the Rambam. So what exactly is the source from this? What exactly is this whole Indian of this? So first of all, the sources, Perek Chafei Pasuk Lamed Beis, Rashi states, the pasuk says, the six branches of the menorah come out of it. So Rashi explains, Lekan ulekan bi'alachson. They come out of it to each direction in an alachson. Alachson is translated as diagonally. Diagonally, meaning on an angle, like straight. In other words, straight. That means that the menorah branches were straight as a stick. Straight, like that.
Yeah.
That's what alachson can be translated as. And now, this is just like the Rambam, and now where do we find the Rambam? The Rambam is from, he draws an image, the Rambam, in the Ksav Yad Pirush HaMishnayos of Menachos Perek Gimel Mishnah Zayin. The Ksav Yad Pirush HaMishnayos that the Rambam wrote, you can find his illustration of how the menorah. First he describes what the menorah is, and then he says, this is how it looked. V'zohi Tzurasa, and he actually draws an image of it. So in the Moshe Rav Kook edition of the Mishnah, the Moshe Rav Kook, they bring a picture from the very old Ksav Yad that was found of the Rambam's handwriting. And this is it. These are the Gevim, the Kaftar, Perach, here's the base, the middle stick. This is the Rambam Ksav Yad of the Rambam. And here is the illustration. So now we see clearly from this picture that it's going straight up, just like Rashi, apparently how we could translate Rashi. So, and also also Mishnah Torah in Hilchos Beis HaBechira Perek Gimel Halacha Yod, the Rambam also, and he describes a menorah, and he says it has an illustration of the menorah also there. Certain printings don't have this. It's only mainly found in certain old Kisvei Yados have this illustration around in Mishnah Torah, but for sure in Parshas Mishnayos, for sure that's where it is. So the son of the Rambam, Rabbi Avraham, the son of Rambam, he made a Pirush al Torah. The Pirush of Rabbi Avraham al Torah, Rabbi Avraham ben Rambam al Torah. He says, so the branches came out of the middle stick of the menorah, directly straight, biyoshar. They came out biyoshar, just like my father drew it, just like Abba Murray, the Rambam, just like he drew it. That's how they came, and they didn't come out round like other people draw it. And he says that you can see in Hilchos Beis HaBechira, also the explanation of the Mishnah of Meseches Menachos by Abba Murray, you'll find illustrations of the menorah. So apparently the Rabbi Avraham ben Rambam had the illustration also Mishnah Torah. So that's the Rambam. So Rashi and the Rambam, from now we see that they each hold that it was going directly straight and not rounded. And it's a Sefer Ezras Kohanim. It's a Sefer from 150 years ago. Maseches Midos, Perek Daled Mishnah Zayin. He says that actually makes more sense like this. That was going straight because the Gemara Rosh Hashanah Daf Chav Daled Beis. It says the Chashmonaim, when they came in, they were poor, so they couldn't make a golden menorah. So they need to make shipudin shel barzel. They need to make it out of spits of metal, and then they did spits. Then they made it out of silver, and then they got richer, and they made it out of gold. So spits of metal, and even the Torah says lashon of konim, shisha konim. There's konim, and that's what they're called. It's mashma that they were round, because it's stam shvud, stam like spit. It means a straight spit. When you say spit of metal, what do you mean? Do you mean a rounded one? A rounded one? No, you mean a straight one, straight as a rod. And also, so to konim, even when the Torah says it must mean that was straight. So it's more mashma like that. So now who says that was round? The Even Ezra, first of all, says konim. 3 descriptions he has. It was round, long, and hollow. Rounded, long, and it was hollow. That's how the branches of the menorah looked. So now this one actually, this one historically seems like you can see it in artifacts, because all the coins from the era of Beis HaMikdash, whenever they have a picture of a menorah, it's always rounded. It's always a round menorah. Also, of course, a very famous Ark of Tinos that everyone knows from the victory parade after the destruction of second Beis HaMikdash. The carved scene of the Jewish captives of the Romans, they're carrying a round menorah on their backs, and you can see it's a very clear carving. Even today, you can still see that it's carved a round menorah. So that's round. So either it could be round or it could be straight. If you see in the Zayis Rana, in the Parish of Magen Avram, in the beginning of Parshas Baloischa, the Mastel Kimina Torah, he says like the way he explains the sort of measures in the Yalga there, it's mashma that the way of the menorah was actually like a candelabra. This is the third way. It's actually a third way of how the menorah looked. It wasn't straight, it wasn't round. Or maybe it was one of those, but it was like a candelabra. It was going around it. If you imagine a menorah like a candelabra. That's, according to the Medrash, that's how it's mashma, says the Magen Avram. That's his mashma how the menorah looked. But you can't really say this though, because the Gemara in Menachos is mashma that was straight, like all the tops of it were all lined up. So
well, what does the Lashon use it? Because the candelabra is a menorah. Yeah,
he says it was like surrounding it like a crown.
Oh.
Because the Medrash talks about like the menorah was like a crown, so he says that's how you need to explain it. You need to explain the Medrash like that.
Oh.
But the Gemara Menachos makes it that you can't really say that. So now, just to conclude about this, the Sefer Masei Choshev, of course, the most classic, perhaps of all time, the most classically written Sefer about how the Mishkan was, the Kalim. Masei Choshev, first printed in 1716. It's by Rabbi Emmanuel Chai Riki, Perek Zayin, Siman Zayin. So he has the top part, and then he has the Parish, also written by him. So in the Parish part, he says, so first it says, V'nim shochem be'igol. He describes when the menorah it was going in roundedly. So then he says on bottom that, so roundedly, there's no mention in the Gemara whether it was round or straight. Rashi says it was a lachson, which sounds like it wasn't round. But the Rambam, in his Chibur, in Yad Chazaka, he doesn't mention at all anything about this. He just says V'nim shochem oilim. He just says they were going straight up. So apparently, by the Masei Choshev, didn't have that picture in the Yad Chazaka of the Rambam, Mishnah Torah. He didn't have the picture there. He just says, the Rambam just says that it was going straight up. He doesn't explain anything if it was straight or not.
Yes, the printings at that time couldn't provide us
Yeah, maybe it's a Kisvi Yodos that have those drawings. Yeah. And then he says, even in Brisa, Timlechas HaMishkan, and also in the Gemara, all these things just say go straight up. And the Chachmas HaMishkan writes that it actually seems like it makes more sense that it's more mistaver that it was actually round. You know why? Because That's similar to the 7 orbits with the 7 planets. All the 7 planets orbiting those orbits. It says in Brisa the Masechet Midos. This Brisa, it says that the 7 neighbors of the menorah are connected to 7 orbits. So he says it makes more sense then that would be round. Because if it's all like circles, then it looks more like orbits. So that's for Mustava.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
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 So just interesting
You have to say?
I'd like to point out.
So.
When we say V'imriach HaTichon, which is the middle pole in the Keroshim, so that actually went through some history.
Oh really?
Like there's a pshat Tagim Yonason that says it was actually from the orchard that Avram Avinu planted. And then the Malachim.
Oh, the Eishel
from
Avram?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Vita Avram Eishel.
Oh.
Which is the inspiration of the Sefer Eishel Avram. So and the Malachim, probably his guest ones, brought it over the Yam Suf. They brought them over the Yam Suf when the Yisrael were crossing it. And then there's a first of Bereshis Rabbah that says that Yaakov Avinu cut them.
Oh yeah.
And then he went to Beersheba and he brought them to Mitzrayim. And then he told his sons, like Rashi says. Okay. There's a different pshat that it was actually from Yaakov Avinu's stick. That is actually his stick that he crossed. No, Yeshua ben Nun's stick that he crossed the Yarden.
That was the same wood.
You're very wrong.
Oh wow.
That's a Teslas in Torah.
Oh wow. Very interesting. Everything's happened to this wood.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's probably very old.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now just to say one more thing about yard site. We usually talk about yard sites. So whose yard site is on Rosh Chodesh Adar? The Even Ezra, Rabbi Avram Ibn Ezra, his yard site was actually on Rosh Chodesh Adar. He was nifter on Rosh Chodesh Adar at the age of 75. So in Seder Doros, Dal Alofim Taf Kuf Lamed Dal, it speaks about him. It says he was a great chacham in many things, in dikduk, in writing poems, in writing songs, great astronomy, and all sorts of wisdom. And the Rambam even wrote to his son, maybe Rabbi Avram, I don't know, he wrote to his son that many praises about him, about his chachma, and he even said that he should learn, he commanded him to learn whatever he writes, you should learn as much as you can about it, of the Even Ezra. So what's a little story behind this? He wasn't always such in a high position, was he? Let's see. So it says that Rabbi Huda Levi, the Baal Sefer Kuzari, he was a very rich man and he had one daughter, and when she was getting older, his wife kept pressuring him that he should marry her off while he's still alive. So until he got very angry, and he took a shvua that the first Jew that he meets, that comes to him, he'll marry his daughter to.
This is very harsh to him.
Yeah, okay, so next morning you can only guess who came. None other than the future Rabbi Avram Ibn Ezra. So he came with his usual ragged clothing. The Even Ezra used to be a very poor ani. He came in his usual ragged clothing, and then when his wife, Rabbi Yehuda Levi, his wife saw this, her face fell. Oh, she remembered her shvua that her husband took. So he asked him, like, what's his name? Does he know any Torah? And he didn't. So then Rabbi Yehuda Levi said, don't worry, I'll teach him Torah and I'll great in his name. And sure enough, he started learning Torah and he became great. And later Rabbi Yehuda Levi gave his daughter to marry, with all his wealth, to marry to Rabbi Avram. And then Rabbi Yehuda Levi and the Even Ezra were great friends. They spoke many times together in Torah, and lots of times the Even Ezra mentions Rabbi Yehuda Levi, his father-in-law, in his chibur on the Torah. If you look.
Wow.
Also, by the way, the Even Ezer is mentioned 3 times in Shas in Tosfos. One of them is the last Tosfos of Kedushin Daf Lamed Zayin. See.
Oh wow. What a breakfast.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so interesting. Another thing about it's pretty similar to what you just said. So there goes the story of the Arizal that his greatness was revealed when when the Ramak was about to pass away. His Talmidim came and said, "Who will lead us? I mean, like who will teach us Torah when after your nifter?" So he said, "Whoever sees like a cloud by my kavura, you'll know as a simon that who will be the one." So at his kavura, they were gonna bury him in the same spot. So the Arizal, no one knew he was great at that time. He said, "This is not where we should bury him. The cloud that is following us is going to a different direction." So they knew that he was his own. So there was actually another person who saw it. There was a young man who also saw it. So the Arizal wanted to marry his daughter often. So
Yeah.
So he said to come to his house so he could teach him Torah.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day when he came, he saw that Rizal saw on his forehead. He said, "Oh, I see that you did Avera." So he told him to leave his house.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, that's what the result could just tell. Oh. Okay. So now, what's the question of the week? Parshas Terumah.
Oh yeah, the question of the week. Which other time when was the Yerios of the... When it says V'yosisi Yerios Izem, by the Parshas.
Yeah.
So, which other point in history did they go through?
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, thank you for listening to Torah Talk Parshas Terumah.
Can you say it?
Oh.
Can you say it?
What?
Like, can you please subscribe? This would be great help and it helps.
Okay, thank you for listening to Torah Talk. It would be a great help if you could please click subscribe down below. Okay.